Well, good morning, live from Spain. I'm here to talk about the 100% tax. Hope my camera doesn't go splat on the stone ground and break the screen. I'm using my new microphone. I'm just going to see if the light is on. Yes, the light is on, so it's recording. Sorry about the noise, put it there. Yeah, this 100% tax proposal by Pedro Sanchez here in Spain. I've lived here off and on for 22 years, restored this house. I've repaired a lot of things here. This was an abandoned house for 10 years. Didn't have any doors, windows. Put central heating in. I repaired the roof, stopped the leaks, put solar panels on. You see, a few years ago, the government scared us with the solar panel tax. If you could get fined for putting solar panels on your roof, but now they want them. It was like a couple of years ago, you could become resident if you invested 500,000 euros in a house or put it in the bank. I wouldn't advise that. You'd pay 10% tax to buy it and then 10% tax to sell it. So the government looking at it, that's nice. 20%. Even standing still, you'd have nothing. You've lost 20%. Plus, if you're not a resident, you've got to pay 5% tax to sell. A lot of people don't know that. Plus, I've been paying a impuesto de extranjero. Estoy hablando de Pedro Sanchez y su idea de un impuesto de 100% si compras una casa en España para extranjeros. Let's get that over with so the Spanish can understand what I'm talking about. I can speak Spanish. I went to college. And the government want us to learn Spanish. And I've helped this country. I've paid probably over £100,000 in taxes here. When I bought this house, it was nearly 30,000. But when you buy a house, you're not only paying 10% tax on top, which you've got to pay straight away at the bank, or your solicitor has. You've got to pay the notary. The notary will say, I'll charge you 400 to do this, but he'll charge you 800. And then he'll say, okay, it's what it is. Sorry, you've got to pay it because he's got your deeds. It's happened to me. You can do nothing about it. And then you've got to go down the road to the notary, the registro de propiedad, and put your deeds in there. And it could be with them sorting it out, registering it properly, especially if you've got to remeasure the land. A lot of land here isn't measured correctly. It's old, catastrales. You can pay someone to measure it. That's going to cost you about €1,000 for half a day's work. And take that back, and that could take a year. And then you've got to pay them. It could be another €800. So you've got the 10% tax on top. But now, Pedro Sanchez is proposing, why not charge English and non-EU residents, because they Brexited, well, Britain did, England, 100% tax if they buy houses, because we've got a lot of English here. And from wanting us here and helping tourism, and building houses and selling them to us, the Spanish have sold them us these houses and profited from it and paid taxes. Now they want 100%, which is just ridiculous. No one's going to buy a house like this house and then pay several £100,000 on top in taxes, are they? If a Spaniard goes to London and he fancies buying a flat in London, he's not going to have to pay 100% tax. Another little gripe I've got is they don't give me the medical card here. They won't give it to me. I haven't got some obscure EU document. I haven't registered here or there. No card for you. I got a temporary one, but I could only consult a doctor. I wouldn't get any treatment. So I've had to take out private medical insurance. I pay, which is about €90 a month for the full bifta. But if a Spaniard needs medical cover in England, there's thousands of Spanish working in England, Mr. Sanchez. Just you remember that. You go and watch Real Madrid play Barcelona in the Brass House in Bournemouth, be full of Spanish, because there's loads of Spanish working there in hotels. They'll get free medical treatment. Anyway, let's go back to Pedro Sanchez. There's this 100% tax proposal, which is probably going to scare a lot of pensioners and poor old people, poor, let's call them established people, that mostly they are here. Obviously not going to be coming in and buying anything, but it's this plan de vivienda he's come up with. And let me tell you, most of his policies, and nearly all of his policies I've seen proposed have not gone through their parliament. They've said, no, Mr. Sanchez, it's ridiculous, go away. So he comes up with this. The poor youngsters, they can't have their own flats and houses in the cities. They want them, but it's too expensive because the British have pushed them out, and there's been tourist protests. This is only a minority, remember. The bars and restaurants, they all want us here. They're missing us now because we think, the English thinking from the press, that they're not liked anymore. From being liked last year, this year, no, because there's been some protests. But it's only a minority. The majority of Spain want us. We pay a lot of taxes to buy our houses. And I've restored this. This was abandoned for 10 years. And drug addicts entering. So I've bettered this country, this town. What else do I want to say? Mr. Sanchez is a socialist government. There is thousands of politicians here. The first thing that has to get paid is their salaries, just like in England. And the country is up to here in debt. They're paying £6 billion a month in interest. They can't pay the pensioners. The pensioners all get €800 a month because there's not enough youngsters working to pay them. They're not getting anywhere with, because it's like England. They printed money. Don't print money because you'll devalue your currency. If you've not got the money, don't print it. Sorry, it's theft from the people. Tomatoes now are double what they were a year ago. I was in Mercadona yesterday shopping. I had 3 bags of shopping. It was €70. That's never been that much. Things from olive oil used to be what, €1.50 a bottle. Now it's €5 or €8. It's coming down a bit. Tomatoes were 99 cents not long ago. Now you won't see that. We're over €2. Inflation caused by the government. So all these politicians, thousands of them, have got to be paid. They're high salaries. We don't need them. The Labour government in England, you're better off without them. All their tax ideas. You've got to remember, first it goes to pay them. And if they make any mistakes, or like what's he called, the Indian Prime Minister in England, Sunak, who had this idea of giving loans during COVID while we were all imprisoned virtually. Terrible, here it was. Could only go out 1 hour a day. For what? At the end of the day, oh dear, it was a mistake. But we've caused a huge amount of inflation, so let's print more money and let's give it to the poor businesses. So we've got all these Romanians and Nigerians claiming millions for businesses that didn't exist. And the government lost, I think, 13 billion. And that goes on the people's country's debt, doesn't it? And then we've got to pay the interest on it to the Chinese. I mean, I'm not an economist or a politician, but let me lead. Be like me, with the chainsaw. Cut all the crap out. Goodbye benefits. All the people on the sick. I know plumbers working. They're getting their flats paid for. They're on the sick. They're smoking. They're fat. They're drinking every day and drunk on drugs, cocaine. And they're on benefits, getting £700 a month. Yeah, in Bournemouth, I know people are doing this. But the mugs, the government are mugs, like giving these loans to people. Anyway, let's get back to Sanchez in Spain. This 100% tax, it won't happen. I would bet everything I've got in the bank that it won't happen. Who's going to buy a house and pay 100% tax? Does it happen anywhere in the world? But Sanchez is, oh, well, let's help the youngsters buy their flats or their houses. Oh, but they want to live in Alicante or Madrid or Barcelona. Would be nice flat there. But they're expensive, believe it or not. The Spanish have been buying them, so the prices go up. It's not the British buying flats in Madrid, it's the Spanish. There might be a few Swedes and Norwegians who like it there. And on the coast here. But you go interior and there's villages completely empty because the youngsters don't want to live there. So they'd like a flat in Alicante, please. So how are we going to give it to them? I don't know. Let's tax the British 100%. He's a communist. You know what communists like. They'd like to take from the rich and give it to the poor. But what we end up with is like Cuba. No one wants to work because they job share, but they become lazy and do nothing. Because if I work in Cuba and I earn some money, they're going to say, this is a communist trait or Marxism. Here's your payment, but we've deducted half of it to pay your brother and sister who've done nothing all week. Communism at its finest. Let's get back to Mr. Sanchez and his tax. Sanchez was put into power really because of his father-in-law supported him, financed it all. You know, like politicians in America need millions to have meetings and put adverts up. It costs a lot of money. But he's got into power. But his father runs booty clubs in Madrid. You know what booty clubs are? They're brothels. He's got lots of brothels. That's how he made his money. And so Sanchez has got into power. His wife, the daughter of his Sanchez's suegro, it's called, which is father-in-law, is up for corruption. Been up in the news all year. No, last year as well. Begoña Gomez. Something to do with computer software and getting companies like Air Europe out of going bankrupt. So they borrow money through the government, and she charged millions for it. And other companies like Air Europe Airlines. All wrong, really. But this 100% tax, don't worry, British pensioners, the established people. Most of the Brits here are pensioners. They behave very well, the best, they're loved. The people love them here. They spend more than the Spanish. They pay these taxes. If they're not a resident, they pay 5% tax on top. Then you've got plusvalia, which is capital gains tax. I could go on for hours of what's happening here with the government. And you ask, go into a bar in Spain and say, what do you think of Pedro Sanchez and the government? They laugh at you. Say he's corrupt. I don't like him. You've got to pay to work here. If you're a building worker or an Albanese, you'd have to pay about 700 euros a month in social security. This is to pay not only your medical treatment if you ever get ill, which is you're not going to be able to go and have an operation. You'd have to wait 3 or 6 months for it. This is to pay for the pensioners, because they've got not got enough money to pay them. So they want the people working paying this ridiculous charge. Even a barman, the person employing them would have to pay 400 euros a month on top of their, say, 700 paltry salary, 4 or 5 euros an hour. Yeah. So they don't employ them like that. They do part-time. It's called media jornada. I know a woman who owns a bar, and she's told me, I get around it doing that, media jornada. You don't have to pay this stupid tax. Well, it is ridiculous, isn't it? So there's more unemployment because people won't employ because they need to pay this, and they'll get fined. The fines here can be ridiculous. Anything from no insurance, that'll be 1,500 if you've just forgotten it one day or something. You can't go and argue about it. MOT, the fines here are astronomical. Flying a drone in a non-drone area, it might be like 30,000 euros proposed fine. So this 100% tax, yet a year or two ago, they wanted people to invest 500,000 euros, and they would pay, people buying them would be paying 50,000 just to buy it in tax. 10%'s a lot, on a house. Only buy good and cheap, and I've done it. I bought a little bit of land here, and I've improved it, and I'm restoring the old stone finca, which has been derelict for dozens of years. I've put electric in with solar panels, and we've got water, electric, and I'm rebuilding the walls, new beams, and bringing it back to life, helping Spain. One day I won't be here, and it will be passed on to other people. The plan de vivienda, perhaps, for people who can't afford houses. But when I was young, houses were always expensive. You've just got to look and buy something small and cheap. You go inland a bit, you can buy a house for 5,000 euros. Oh yes. So he's saying that there's all these people without homes, but they don't want to go in the interior. They want to live in Alicante or Barcelona. but they haven't got the money to buy the flat. So Pedro Sanchez is lying to them, really, saying, I'm going to help you by taxing the British. And all that's doing is creating a little bit of hate to the British. Yeah, I've had my car scratched with a foreign number plate on. Some idiot. More than England, because it's got foreign plates on. For some reason, they think the Brits are bad, but they're not. They've actually helped them with tourism. It's a country of waiters and waitresses, Spain. And all the houses they built, the Spanish have sold them to the British. It was their decision. We want to sell our houses, all these estate agents. They've done well from us or from foreigners. It's not only English, it will be now the Norwegians, the Polish, the Russians. There's a lot of Russians here, you know. There's towns of Ukrainians. There's all sorts of people. The number one immigrant here, I'd say, is Moroccan, Colombian, and then Romanian. And they're also the number one nationalities in prison, you know, the Moroccans. Because some of them are thieves. That's why I asked, why have we got bars on the windows here? To my neighbour, he says, oh, you haven't got Moros in England. But some Moroccans are very good. I've had a mechanic who's Moroccan. But for some reason, they rob from English people. They take the TVs and chuck the alarm in the swimming pool. I've seen it all. But it's very safe here, really, and well run. There's a lot of police. You'll find them at the airports. A lot of police and with machine guns, and it's a bit scary. But Spain was military 40 years ago. But I'm sure I could lead this country better, and England. We just don't need these politicians, and a lot of them have got a clue. But please don't print any more money, because it just devalues everyone else's money. It's not yours to do that, is it? If you haven't got it, don't spend it. Or give it to billions like Sunak did during the pandemic to online scams. Like billions were taken for companies that didn't exist. They'll never get it back. It's gone on the debt. What else should I like to say? So I don't think any of his policies that he comes up with I've gone through, but it's to divert away from Dana, the flooding in Valencia, which they said they were going to indemnify everyone. They've only indemnified 2%, meaning they'll pay for people's houses that have been destroyed, their cars. The place was badly planned. It was a trap when there was heavy rain, as were many other villages there, not just Dana. A lot of people have died, and it's just quietly shoved away, and the politicians come up, oh, let's have a plan de vivienda, 100% tax for foreigners buying houses here, to divert it away from that. But what happened? Pedro Sanchez, with helping these poor people that died, or families, nothing. It was a lie. As with many other policies, you look at what he's suggested in the last few years. He looks very nice in his blue suit, smiling away. But in reality, I've never met anyone in Spain, a Spanish person. Some of my best friends are Spanish. They're lovely people. Who even likes him? No, they don't like him. They don't like this national insurance tax. And I can't get national insurance, even though I paid possibly over 100,000 in taxes here over the years. I've restored this house. I've got my padron, which you have to do at the town hall when you buy a place. I've worked hard here and enjoyed it, paid taxes, but no, they won't give me the social security card. No, not you. Tried. Haven't got some sort of obscure document from the EU, but there's hundreds of thousands of Africans coming in. I know it's nice to help people, but where does it end? There's millions of people in Africa. Are they all going to keep coming in? They're in hotels and hostels here. They're not only housing them, they're feeding them. They get all the meals. They get money. They get pocket money every week, and they get a mobile phone and credit for it. And you see them where we just had a few English on the beach and Spanish in the summer. There's now big groups of, sorry, don't like to say it, but black people just hanging around. And I'm sorry to say it, but they have had on the coast more robberies, people's handbags stolen, muggings, muggings. And they're all black people from Africa. They can't speak Spanish. And where does it end? Happening in England as well, isn't it? With all your hotels full up with all these people, 6 million a day or more. Wrong. I mean, it's nice to help people, and they sent money to Mauritania, but it's stolen because the governments are corrupt in Africa, you know. Oh yeah. Anything you give to them, it will be stolen, and it will be sent. Or gold will be bought, and it will be shipped off somewhere else. Just look at Assad, huge car collection, and the gold shipped to Russia, and all the properties he owns. It's just wrong, isn't it? It's stealing from the people. But it's a similar sort of thing going on even here in Europe. The German economy is bad. They're in recession. The British economy is bad. Why have we got all these people in Bournemouth lying on the ground begging? Why? Why don't you do anything about it? Get the hose pipe out. They're not even from Bournemouth. But they're on drugs and they're alkies. I'm sorry. But I've got no time for that. You don't get that in Spain. The police would just move them on. You can't sit here on the ground. Haven't you got any self-respect? And certainly the Spanish have. They're more religious as well, Catholic. Got fantastic celebrations here. It's a great country. Look at this weather. It's like this every day in the middle of the winter. Well, I'm going to stop now because I think I've got everything off my head. I was thinking about this tax. I've seen some videos on YouTube already, but I'm actually here. Put some comments in below. But it won't happen. I would bet my patrimonial, my whatever I've got, it won't, on it never happening. They wouldn't sell anything, would they? They wouldn't even get their 10%, which is a lot. I think in England it's only about 2%. But, oh yeah, we've also got the plusvalia here. Doesn't matter if you've lived there. Like in England, you don't have to pay capital gains, do you? If you've lived in it yourself for more than a year. Yeah, it's like VAT. You've got to pay VAT to everyone, even if they're not VAT registered, but you still got to pay it. Whether or not it actually goes to the government, who knows? You can go to most big stores here, and if you're a bit quiet about it, they'll say to you, do you want it in A or B, or Blanco or Negro? Which means you'll get a receipt with not their heading on it, like from a big paint shop this will be, or builders merchants. So the taxes are so high, people have to get around it to survive. And like buying properties here, even the police and the Guardia Civil, National Guard, will underdeclare what they're paying, the buyer and the seller. For example, 150 to buy this house. We'll say, let's declare 100. Okay. And even the notary will know that. Incidentally, are very expensive. And then you've got to go to the property registro de propiedad, and they're expensive, and it can take more than a year to get your deeds. Sometimes they have to remeasure your land. I know, I've been there. My notary said to me, I said to him, what are you going to charge me for buying this little bit of land? 400 euros. And when he'd finished, the bill it wasn't there, it was 800 euros. But they're not going to give me my deeds unless I pay 800 euros. But I said, that's double what you told me. He says, lo que hay, that's what it is. I had to make a lot of copies, he said. That's what he said to me, the notary. And you go on the government websites and it's all there written what they're going to charge you. But no, it's a lie. Banks, if you don't pay a fine here, or the tax man thinks you owe this tells you, we think you owe this, they'll freeze your bank account. So don't put much in the Spanish bank account. That's what I do. Got a couple of hundred in there. But every now and again it could be frozen because I haven't filled in a form about this or that. It's like Bitcoin, you remember that? And you had to once you bought the Bitcoin, then they told you needed to identify yourself. And curiously enough, the Bitcoin company disappeared. It's my Bitcoin. So similar to banks here, be careful of them. The notaries, get it written down, then what they're going to charge you. Wills, oh yeah, make sure you write a will, because if you don't, it'll go to the government. All your possessions in Spain, your property. Well, don't let it stop you buying property here, but buy good and cheap. The Registro de Propiedad as well, it's called where the deeds are done. About 200 or 300 euros, we think. Oh no, it took longer than we thought. It's 800. So apart from buying a property, you've got 10%. You've got your solicitor. They're going to be expensive. Then you've got the guys measuring the land. That could be 1,000. Then you've got the tax to go. You've got to go and pay that at the bank within a month, or you'll be fined. There's a lot of big fines in Spain, you know. And then you've got to go to the Registro de Propiedad. It could be a year getting your deeds there, especially if you've had to remeasure your land, because they've got to write to all the neighbours saying you complained. But it worked, and I got the deeds in the end. But it's not all as it appears, as is this 100% proposed tax by Pedro Sanchez. I hope you enjoyed what I said and my microphone worked. Just bought this little thing on, is it still working? Yeah, it's still on. 24 euros on Amazon. You get two. And you're connected. I'm talking to you now on my iPhone with it plugged in, but you can plug it into a GoPro. Well, I hope I opened your eyes up to what really happens in Spain a bit and their taxes. But some things are just wrong and unrealistic, and I believe that is happening as well in England. It's just wrong to put all these people flooding into hotels and feed them, because they just keep coming in. And do you want the whole of Africa coming in? But it's already too much on the coast here, because there's a big I've forgotten what it's called, but it was owned by nuns, and they've rented it out, and I think there's 450 immigrants in there. The big black guys. They're all men. There's no women, none whatsoever. I can assure you, their pocket money is just being sent straight back to Morocco or Mauritania or wherever they came from. The best thing about Spain is the weather. It's like this normally every day.